ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome you back to some F1 online racing here at Inters on your Sunday afternoon for Tier 1. We are in Budapest for round 3 of the 19-round calendar here in Inters. Scotty here with you on your Sunday afternoon to bring you all the action. And not alone, thankfully, and I've got Ashton. Ashton, how are you this lovely Sunday afternoon?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. Trying to keep warm a little bit. Southeast Australia is bloody cold this afternoon, so just trying to keep warm, but definitely looking to Budapest. Obviously, I drove this last night. Setup wasn't quite there. It's a bit of a tricky track, Budapest, if you don't have the confidence. And yeah, didn't quite have it, but yeah, definitely an interesting track. It's obviously Monaco without the walls, and should be a fascinating with the likes of Fins, Websy, and a few others to make this a very competitive afternoon of racing.
Yeah, I commentated at Tier 3 and watched Tier 2, and both times everyone was fairly close together, but there isn't the most overtakes, and Budapest really can be a race of endurance, even though it is only 50%.
Yeah, and it's a tough 35 laps as well. Like they sort of do fly like that. Obviously, you're only hitting about a minute 20 lap time, sort of with the heavier fuel loads. So tyres as well. Tyres I found, especially the mediums around here. They weren't exactly the best tyre. They'd easily fall off the cliff, probably about 9-10 laps in. As we saw a few different strategies in both Tier 3 and Tier 2 in terms of how people will go. So obviously a little bit of a factor for these guys, and obviously these guys have seen the tyre strats previously, and these are the quick boys for a reason. But we'll switch to our calendar, and as you can see, round 3, a fantastic enduro round. Last time out in Bahrain, with Fins picking up maximum points in the Williams last time out, and Websy coming from the back of the field to finish on the podium. But yeah, Bahrain, Spa, Suzuka, so 3 traditional circuits in the next 3 weeks. So it should be very, very fascinating. As we'll quickly jump over to our full-time lineup. So these are the big boys in Inters. We've got 5 reserves this afternoon. So I believe we're missing Frosty, we're missing K5, and we are missing, as I have a quick Cade as well, yes. So some big names missing tonight, but Fins and Websy, they're obviously the 2 big front runners at the moment, having some good first rounds 1 and 2.
Yeah, not much to say. I will admit I'm not the most caught up with Tier 1 this season, but I think we will still be able to produce some exciting racing with all the full-time drivers missing. The reserves are still very competitive here at Inters, and it'll be really interesting to see how the 5 of them go tonight.
Yeah, and as we have I'll have a quick readout. So, Ghost Rider reserving for Aston Martin once again. We've got Burke in for the Haas. We've got Farmer Sam in for Alpine. We've got Marcus Costa in for the Sauber. And we got Sir Viva Knox, if I'm pronouncing that right. Apologies if I'm not. So, I haven't seen that name. So, they'll be in for the Alpine as well. So, Bus has got 2 reserves in this afternoon. As we're just about ready to green up, we'll have a quick look at our previous race in Bahrain. As you can see, Fins with the 10-second victory over Websy. Frosty rounding out the podium in the Haas. Checkered Flag and Seal Pill, or Chill Pill, I should say, in P5. Great efforts from the pair of them. Unfortunate, a few DNFs, Aiden, Marcus, Aussie, and Shawnee not finishing that particular one. Driver standings quickly. Websy just held on to the championship lead, thankfully, from the comeback drive last week. But Fins with the maximum 50 points climbing their way up all the way up into P2 and only 3 points behind, very close up the top. Frosty in P3, 21 points behind, but obviously missing tonight. That's a big loss of points that he'll have to try and claw back later in the season. Chill Pill and Apollo P4 and P5. Constructors standings for Tier 1. Williams moving up those 5 places. Great effort from Fins and Liquid Jake. rounding out I think a top 7 finish. So Williams clawing a lot of points there. McLaren dropping from the top spot. Racing Bulls and Sauber very close in a little battle for P3 and P4. And your overall standings after Bahrain, Ferrari has a 27-point lead over Williams. So Tier 2 and Tier 3 Ferrari looking really, really strong, and that's carrying them to the top of the standings. Racing Bulls and Haas in that P3, P4. Haas having a better week than round one. They're up 5 spots into P4, about 50 points behind the race leaders. Track details now. And as we spoke up the top, it is 35 laps of this 4.381 kilometre circuit. 14 turns, obviously. Downforce is the nature of the game around here. Traction, obviously, quite high as well. Bit of track evolution as well, so we'll see some quick times at the end of quali as well. Lap record is a 1:16.627 by Lewis Hamilton in 2020. So, Ashton, are you ready to get into qualifying?
Very much so. Qualifying has started. We're about a minute and a half in, and it seems like the first car who will start a lap will be the Ferrari of GLX Cam.
So we load into quali now. So you said Cam is the first one out on track. Get all our little fiddly stuff up. So Hungary, how do you find Hungary as a track as we see the Ferrari on the outlap?
Hungary, I mean, it's very fun to drive, especially that middle sector, but then it's also really easy to lose time with those section of 4 corners from, I believe, turn 8 to turn 11. Like, you just have to get those braking points exactly right, like where you apply the throttle exactly right, and that's probably what I'd expect from the Tier 1 boys tonight.
Well, do you want to take us through this hot lap with GLX Cam?
I will indeed. So GLX Cam coming down the front straight, reeling open DRS activate. He slams the brakes at the 100-meter board. Now activates DRS after completing turn 1 nicely. He'll now go to turn 2 where you round that left-hander in third gear, coming up to the flat out turn 3. You go up this small straight with cresting at the top of the hill, then turn 4, which is very hard to get right. You have to lift off the throttle a perfect amount, and he gets a bit of a tank slap with it. Now he goes through turn 5, where Yuki Tsunoda crashed in qualifying yesterday, but he avoids that curve that I do not think is in this game. He gets to turn 6 and 7 chicane nicely, and now it's probably the most tricky section of this track, turn 8 and 9. It's a decision whether to quickly brake or do a bigger lift, and he has done that nicely. Now through 10 and 11, he is coming up to turn 12. He needs to get these final corners right if he wants a good lap time. He's coming through the double hairpin, and he has a big tank slapper coming off the curb, but now he'll around the final corner. It seems like it will be a alright bank lap, but I don't think it will put him near the top of the table for long, and it is a 1:15.491.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly the greatest. You saw the curb out of just on the entry of turn 13 as he just goes down the escape road of turn 1 just to get out of the way. Mr. Coolcar's in P2, but yeah, you're right. We had a couple of slides. I think turn 4, the the left-hander, he had a big slide out of that one as well, and then obviously turn 5. You can actually be aggressive on the curbs, even with the recent update. I found, especially in the middle sector, if you can get your line right, it is actually a benefit to take the curbs. It is more likely, I think turn 5 is definitely on the inside. Do not touch that curb at all, and obviously being careful of the turn 4 curb as well. So curbs, yeah, they still can kill you with the recent update, but yes, especially in the middle sector, definitely definitely a benefit to try and do it. Shawnee goes P3, Tyler in the top 2, Bins currently leading the way on a 14.235, so Bins looking strong once again.
Now, coming through the final sector, we have Verk. He's set a 54.35 for the middle sector. He's now rounding the final corner, taking a semi-late apex to get the best exit he can onto this main straight. He'll cross the line now and go into P6 with a 1:16.6. You have to think he must have made a mistake through that lap, but now we have Marcus Costa coming to the line. He has invalidated.
Yeah, so Marcus obviously will have to go again again, with the ERS usage, you can do a call-off lap and then go again, especially earlier on in your sessions. Good lap from Aiden up in P3, Chilpill up in P5, and Aussie, nice lap from himself up into P4. So quite a few drivers getting into that 14s as we try and find how Yusuf's going. He's just starting his lap. We've got Websy. Oh, that's a flying lap, half a second quicker, if you don't mind, ahead of Finn. So first driver into the 13s, 13.7. So we know this is a very, very hard track to overtake. Definitely not impossible, but if you can snag that pole position, it'd be very, very important, especially with how you can save your battery around here and you can just burn it all on the start-finish straight, being that there's not really anywhere else that people can pass you.
So Marcus Costa did invalidate on that second run, and he's gone out of the way to let his teammate Chilpill pass him, but he is on an in-lap, so I believe that the next person who'll be coming to the line is Aiden, but after that P4 worthy lap time, should be coming into the pits, given he has a red fuel light warning.
So it goes across the line into a 14.323. And hopefully that is a little bit better sound-wise for you. Just let me know if you need anything else adjusted. But yeah, Yusuf strong, but Websy, that's a hell of a first lap. Sir Venox up in P11 for Alpine, the reserve. So Alpine 11th and 19th, Farmer Sam yet to get a lap time on the board. They are coming around turn 13, the penultimate corner now. And took that quite nicely. One final corner left. There's a couple of different lines you can take through there. Yes, that was the Alpine just slowing down. Farmer Sam, 14 flat. That's a better lap time from the Alpine and better for Sam. So good lap time for Alpine, but still 3/10 slower, than the McLaren of Websy. So not a lot of guys out on track. Obviously completed their first runs as we just hit about 10 minutes left to go in the session. And it's Websy, Farmer Sam, Yusuf, Finns, and Tyler, your top 5, checkered flag, out on circuit. So good, fantastic top 4 last time out in Bahrain. Got a lot of points with the double point enduro, but unfortunately makes a little bit of a meal of the chicane and cuts across it. So surprisingly didn't invalidate, but probably will be coming back into pit lane with that one. Farmer Sam will more likely be coming in, so it'll be back to Cam, who's going to start their next run. So two DRS zones, obviously down the start-finish straight and then out of turn number 1. You don't really see a move into turn 2 unless you sort of get a bit of a switchback off of turn 1 with the car in front defending. But we have seen side by side. Oh, got a little bit of a snap from Cam. I thought he was running a little bit wide, but it was a little bit of lag as he comes through the chicane now. Takes a little bit of curve on the inside. And just this middle section, you can just see him throwing the car, but unfortunately he just goes wide. He's all four wheels off the track. And even though he didn't invalidate, that's just a whole bunch of time lost. So he'll be coming back in, trying to get a bit of ARS, I'd imagine. So unfortunately Cam will go once again. Ashton, who are you seeing on track at the moment?
Shawnee is coming up just behind Cam. Cam pretty successfully gets out of the way. He is up half a tenth coming through the second sector. He's now around in turn 13, and he's had a big moment, and it seems like he'll pull straight back into the pits.
So they will go once again. So as a heads up, pole last night was a 14.6 by the Battle Cat. So you can see the top 7 are easily past that. So you can that's just the quality of drivers that we have got in Tier 1. As we switch on to Aiden's on an out lap. How's Chilpill going? Currently up by about a tenth and a half. Coming through turn 10 now. And make the way down the hill, up by half a second. That will put him around Aiden. If he's got a lot more time in this final sector to close his way up into the top 5, it'll be handy. We know how good Chilpill is. around the final corner. Keeps all four wheels in, short run to the line, and finds another 10th and goes into the top 8. Just ahead of the Haas, and we've got Dodge.
Jeremy.
Yeah, McDermott coming into P2 13.9, a couple of tenths off Websy. So Websy's first banker, still good enough for provisional pole at the moment. Who we got? We've got Aussie invalidated, unfortunately, as the Red Bull gets out of the way. Who we got? I think Aiden's going to be the next one on a bit of a flyer. Unless you can see that either Red Bull... Yeah, now who we got? Mr. Cool Cars, is it? So we'll actually stick on board with Aiden. He's gone purple in the middle sector, up by 2 tenths. So this 2 tenth improvement could put him ahead of maybe Tyler if he can find an improvement in the final sector. Around the final corner. So Aiden in the Haas team now. Rounds the final corner, crosses the line, and jumps up into P9 exactly the same time as Checkered Flag, and 3/1000ths higher than Chilpil. So very, very close between Tyler in 7th and Chilpil in 10th. Only half a tenth covering the top four, those four drivers.
I am quickly gonna grab my
Oh
laptop
no,
charger as
Checkered.
Checkered Flag has retired on track. That
And that's
is
turn 4.
Aiden's coming up on now.
Yeah, and that's where Leclerc binned it on Saturday morning.
Ooh.
No, Friday
That was-
afternoon. It was Friday afternoon that he binned it there. The Checkered Flag is out.
I
So
was nearly right on the racing line as well. It seems like he must have had a bit of a tank slapper out of turn 4 and found the wall when you definitely do not want to find the wall there.
yeah, so I'm imagining it's either he's hit the inside curb and it's unsettled the car, or it's when he's gone to the outside maybe. I'd imagine it's the inside curb and he's just spun it into the wall, unfortunately. So Checkered Flag currently in the top 10, but with the improvement that this track will get, I don't think he'll be staying there, unfortunately. His teammate, meanwhile, goes into P2 and onto the front row, less than a tenth now behind Websy. Websy's still in pit lane, so I'd imagine that he'd be saving a set of softs and will go for one final run just to make sure that he holds his pole. As McDermott comes into pit lane, so come in for a fresh set of boots. 5 minutes left to go in the session. Farmer Sam is just starting their lap time, coming into turn 1. KLX, first time I believe we've seen KLX on track this season, so good to see the reigning champion out on track. Just double check because we had Prince obviously winning it the 3 seasons prior. KLX a bridesmaid no more. He won last season, and that is completely off track. So he's got a time on the board, and he's obviously had to back out. So it wasn't the invalidation, but clearly just the time loss. As Tyler starting their lap time now. Sam coming through.
It seems like, yeah, Sam, as I was going to say, he is coming through turn 9 and 10 now. He has kept his foot flat to the floor, up 1/10 on his sector 2 time, which was already enough for him to get into P4. He has come through turn 12 now, taken that nicely. He's had another little bit of a moment at turn 13. We have seen a lot of those tonight, and he's hit the inside wall of the pit lane. He just took too much out of the inside, and he has hit the wall.
Yeah, just trying to be, maybe, I don't know, a little bit too greedy, but yeah, just obviously ruined his lap. But unfortunately, Farmer Sam stays in P4, and we'll have to go again. 3.5 minutes, so oh no, he probably won't have time to come in and get a new set of boots on, so he'll probably have to just maybe do a cool lap and then go for one final run. So if you're not in pit lane now, you're going to find it very hard to try and get back out on track.
Tyler is coming up to the line now. It seems like he'll be setting a 114.195, a 2.5 tenth improvement that moves him up to 5th.
Yeah, good lap from Tom. We know he was strong in qualifying last week. He picked up pole in Bahrain by less than 300ths of a second over Frosty. Vince was a further 10th back, so we know Tyler had the quali pace. Unfortunately, didn't have the race pace. Finished in P12 and picking up 9 points. So hopefully he can have a better one, and if he can get closer to the front and then stay up there, should be a good night for Tyler and the Aston Martin team.
It seems like Farmer Sam, who is coming into pits now, will actually get another
It's
lap in. He has
it's going
two
to
and a
be
half minutes
close.
left. So
It is going to be very close. He's going to have to quickly change tyres and come back out. It's probably about close to a minute turnaround. So if he does come back out on track with enough time, he's going to have a little bit of a fast outlap to try and actually get the time on the board. But we can see between one and two, a lot of cars. So it's the group of cars coming out. So you've just got to try and find a little bit of track position as we are under the 2 minute barrier. So it will be on our last flying laps for the guys. Tyler has retired in pit lane. So he's comfortable with P5, obviously being a little bit out of sync with the rest of the drivers. It will be Apollo that will come across the line first. So I think this is a bit of a flyer actually. So we'll stay on board. Yeah, he got very close to the inside pit wall as well. Apollo coming across the line. He does jump up 4 positions, but unfortunately still in P12. So he may have a shot at another lap. It's going to be very close. Farmer Sam behind the Red Bull, and Farmer Sam coming out. You can see 115. He's going to be really pushing to try and get this one done. Verk has retired and will be starting this Grand Prix from P20 and last spot on the grid. I can see a lot of
Aussie
drivers.
2K
Yeah, I just switched to him. Do you want to take us through this last sector?
Okay, Aussie 2K Goat, he is 2 tenths up through the second sector. He is now coming through turn 13, trying to get as close to the inside curve as he can, trying to maintain speed, yet shorten the distance to the line. He's done that as well through turn 14, the final corner on this track. He'll now open his rear wing, DRS activated, and move up to 8th with a half-second improvement.
Yes, obviously a big jump up between the bottom 10 and the top 10. So good improvement, but that might help him keep P9 with a lot of guys behind. You'd imagine on quicker lap times. Farmer Sam, he's got 12 seconds left to go. He will be right for another flying lap, but how much tyre life has he had to take out? So 5 seconds left, so he will make it. So it will be RB in the pit lane, so it will be one of the McLarens. It'll be Shaun coming across the line. We hit the checkered flag first and jumps up into the top 12. The other RB is currently a 10th up. How's Websy?
Mr.
Websy's
Coolcars,
invalidated. Websy is done.
Mr.
Sorry, Jeremy.
Mr. Coolcars jumped to 17th with a half-second improvement, and Ghost Rider has been disqualified. It seems like he had a spin coming through Sector 2 and just stood still for too long.
Yeah, just obviously not losing a lot of spot. He was 19th on board with Yusuf. He's slightly up. Can Yusuf take pole? He most certainly can. 13.6. Can Yusuf hang in there? Farmer Sam's invalidated. Won't be improving. How about Finn's? Round in the final corner. He's invalidated. He won't be improving. And what about Marcus coming across the line? Only a 14.9. So Marcus starting at P16. That is qualifying done. And Yusuf at the death, picking up pole position by about a tenth of a second. Websy invalidating on their final run. Will still finish on the front row. But Yusuf, he's had a lot of... He's impressed me this early game cycle. And Yusuf will be on pole position for round 3 here in Inters Tier 1. Let's have a look at those results. And it was a tenth of a second between Yusuf and Websy. Jeremy only at 100th behind Websy. Farmer Sam, Tyler, Chill Pill, Fins, KLX, Aiden and Aussie are your top 10. Checkered Flag, Shaun A, Liquid Jake, Apollo, JLX Cam, Marcus, Sir Venox, Mystical Cars, Verk and Ghost Rider. That disqualification will be starting on the last spot in Quali. As we
That
have
was
a bit of a
pretty
breather.
exciting.
Yeah,
If
that was
I
a
don't say
great
so
quali.
myself.
Yeah, no, that was a great quali. So looking
Hungarian,
forward to it.
the Hungarian always seems to produce amazing qualifying sessions in real life and at Inters. So to the race now. The drivers will be selecting their tyres and fuel amounts when they want to make their stops, and we'll have to sit here and we'll wait for those 5 lights to start to turn on.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see what the tyre strategy is. A couple of drivers going the hard compounder tyres last time. It did work. Daniel Starr went hard medium. Problem is the mediums. If you sort of got to extend the hard stint because those mediums they're pretty shocking after about 10 laps. So maybe a soft hard soft could potentially be into play. But yeah, just sort of the nature of this circuit. You just need the rear grip out of a lot of the slow corners, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what strategy there can be. There was only one VSC in Tier 2. Ashton, I think there was one safety car in Tier 1.
Tier 1 or Tier 3?
Sorry, Tier 3. Tier 3.
Yeah. I don't remember a safety car. I think it was actually a green flag running to the end. We didn't have any on-track retirements. I believe there was a couple of pin and quits, though.
Yep. All good. Couldn't quite remember it, but that's all right. But as I said, except for maybe lap one incidents. You don't really see a lot of safety cars around here, so hopefully that is the case and we have a fantastic race for the lead. Obviously, Finn's a little bit further back in their championship fight against Websy, but we saw Websy coming from the back of the field. But we do have the lights on. We've got 4, we got 5 red lights. Round 3, Tier 1 into that Hungary underway, and it looked like a better start from Websy, as hopefully gives me a bit of a better camera angle. We'll run down into turn number 1, and it is Websy who will take the racing line as we got a little bit of side-by-side action further back, 3 wide. Still, as we come through a little bit of contact with Finns and KLX, but looking around, we are all still clear. So Websy getting the jump side by side between turn 3 and Finns and KLX, and we've got a big crash at the
Oh,
back.
no.
That's
Up
an
the back.
RV out.
That is a VSC. Checkered flag is
And
out. The Racing
Cam.
Bulls team principal, and so is Cam and Marcus Costa. Mr. Cool Cars both have 10-second penalties. Mr. Cool Cars, I believe, or one of them, for a collision with Ghost Rider. It does not seem like he has any damage, but I cannot see his front wing at the moment. But on the exit of turn 3, we have probably our first big crash of the entire Inters round in all tiers.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate for Cam. Checkered flag just had crashed out turn 4 in quali, and unfortunately didn't even get past the first sector, same as Cam. So those two boys will be very, very unhappy. Looks like Shaunae's got a little bit of front wing damage. Marcus has got front wing damage, as well as Mr. Cool Cars having front wing damage. So those three, at least Marcus and Cool Cars will have to come in. Shawnee might be able to hang on. Looks like both their end plates are there, so it is just very, very minor damage for what I'm seeing on the data. But under VSC, Websy got the jump, and Yusuf, unfortunately, sort of the biggest loser, at least with the front guys, losing 2 spots. As we'll switch over to your tyres, and as you can see, nearly everybody on the mediums except for 3 drivers. It was 4, Cam, unfortunately, out of this one. So Marcus, Mr. Cool Cars in the pit lane. DRS is now enabled. Thankfully, no one speeds under the VSC exit. And on lap 2 of 35, it is Websy, but Jeremy is just behind and looking to put Websy under a little bit of pressure.
Something I've already noticed is KLX, he's slowing down. I think he had an illegal overtake on Finns, and Aiden has just taken excellent advantage of that opportunity. He is up into 8th and is now a 9-10 for the Mercedes drivers. But what I was going to say is Finns, who just had a massive moment coming out of turn 9, I believe. It might have been turn 10, but he has already lost DRS to Chill Pill in 6th.
Yeah, so Ben's obviously struggling a little bit, but obviously if that was an illegal overtake from KLX, that was obviously always going to sort of slow this second pack up. And we saw this last night, and I think it was a Worms as well, that you sort of saw the top guys get away, and then Matty had front wing damage, so obviously that's why he was a little bit slow, but he was holding the cars up behind as well. So we're sort of seeing this 2-pack sort of situation happening again. Obviously, Marcus and Mr. Cool Cars out on the hard tyres, so they'll go as long as possible, hoping for a full safety car to bring them back into play. They'll try and use those hard tyres when these medium tyres just start to fall off the cliff a little bit. But it's going to be very interesting to see how the field sort of separates and whether these guys try and do a bit of an undercut, but you cannot afford to get stuck in traffic around here. Big unfortunate for you, checkered flag. Um, yeah, as I said, you should have. You were looking good. Unfortunately, both crashes in both sessions, and not sure what happened at the back. We saw contact and we saw you sort of go half around, but yeah, big apologies for you not being in this one. But your teammate is still doing very well. Yusuf obviously didn't get the jump off the line that he would have wanted, but still very much in play in P3.
Finns is catching up to Chilpill a little bit, but it will be a lot harder for him to break into that DRS range without DRS. And Aiden nearly dropping out of DRS, but he does have that pace to briefly stay in. He'll have that second helping to help him, but for the majority of the lap, there is no DRS zones in between turn 2 and turn 14, really.
Yeah, I found out last night you sort of need to be within, I'd say, 4 tenths coming around the final corner to have any sort of chance at an overtake at turn 1. But again, as I sort of said, if you're leading a pack, you can just save your ERS around the rest of this track because no one can overtake, and then you just burn all your battery down the start finish straight, and then you keep your position. So it is going to be very hard. This is going to be a strategy race. So
I think
always RB gets very close to the wall on the exit of turn 11. Would be very surprised. Oh, he probably went too wide that he may not have picked up a warning, but Yusuf just got to be a little bit careful. Obviously, pens can definitely come into play, especially around this track. Definitely a few corners here that you can just run slightly wide, trying to carry the speed, and you can end up with a warning or two.
I think the undercut will be very powerful here today. It's definitely going to be a race about strategy. And Finns is almost catching up to Chilpool, but he's just able to pull away in those DRS zones. But speaking of DRS, we already have a couple cracks showing in these DRS trains. Shawnee is out of Liquid Jake's DRS. Verk is out of Apollo Pepsi's DRS at the moment. He had it for this lap, but I do not think he'll have it coming into lap 6. And Chilpill, it seems like he has made a mistake and is now out of DRS of Tyler in 5th.
Yeah, he's just not sure if it was a mistake or not, but he's just struggling to keep with the top 5. We know how quick Websy is, and with the other guys just staying within DRS, it's just an easy thing to do. As Apollo making a move on Sir Venox, and I'd imagine it must have been a little bit of a mistake. Maybe got on that inside curve, and Apollo getting the move back past, obviously on the hard compounded tyre, so obviously going long. He won't mind a cheeky safety car, probably say lap 22, 23. Chuck himself on a brand new set of medium tyres to get to the end. But Websy still comfortable out in front. As you said, it was about 6 tenths coming around the final corner. And you can just see DRS obviously useful, but because everyone's running a lot of downforce, you just don't have the straight line speed, unfortunately, because it's not the longest straight. And Websy easily able to rehold it. Yusuf in P3, Farmer Sam doing a fairly decent job in P4. He's just sitting back. Obviously, he's just going to be saving a bit of ERS, maybe a bit of fuel, depending on if anybody decided to underfuel it. So P4, Tyler just still hanging on into DRS range P5. Chilpill in P6, Finns, Aiden, KLX, and Aussie are your top 10. So obviously, a bit of a quiet start to this one, apart from the collision on lap 1. And that's just sort of what Hungary is, unfortunately. Just you don't get a lot of passes until you sort of get to the pit stops.
Finns is catching back up to Chilpill, who dropped out of Tyler's DRS. I mentioned that earlier as Aussie 2K Go gets the first 3 second time penalty of the race, and Chilpill goes a bit deep heading into turn 12, and it seems like Finns will get DRS heading from lap 6 to lap 7. He'll have it for the straight between turn 14 and turn 1, and the mini straight between turn 1 and turn 2, given it is a double helping here at the Hungary.
Yeah, you saw any chances of moves down at turn 2 is you really make the current front defend to the inside, and then you get a nice switch back, get the traction out of the turn 1, and then you can potentially get them down here at turn 2. But we haven't, with all these cars within the DRS train, Chilpill's obviously sort of switching in and out of it, but if he's in it, the top 10 are still within DRS. So apart from the Ferrari, you're not really going to see anybody attempt anywhere close to make a move. So Websy probably just managing his pace just a little bit. Obviously, just trying to get these medium tyres to a good window to pit. But then again, if he holds everybody else up, it doesn't sort of create a gap that anyone who wants to undercut can really do. Because as you can see on the track map, we're 7 laps in, and it's not really a gap until right at the back.
Farmer Sam is right on the fringe of DRS here. He'll get it coming from turn 13 to 14, but it seems like he made a mistake in the middle sector. He was outside of a second, crossing the sector timing line, but he has managed to catch back up to Yusuf Goat, and he has his reeling open coming down this straight and going down the next.
So we just saw a move from Fins up into P6. Marcus pick up 3-second time penalty. So I'm not sure if Chilpill let Fins go, if Chilpill actually had a moment on the exit of the final, off the exit of the final corner. But Fins up into P6, so got a lot of pace. Is about half a second away from DRS. So we'll see if they can close back in. We've got Ghost Rider and Verk. These two remembering starting on the final row of the grid, as KLX unfortunately picking up a 3-second time penalty. So both Mercs unfortunately just struggling to keep it within track limits, and we're only lap 8 of 35. So still very early to pick up pens. So they could be in a little bit of trouble if we do get maybe a safety car later on in this one.
I'm looking at Aiden here, and he could very well be on for a move. Chilpill is out of Finn's DRS as things stand in P7, and Aiden, until recently, was actually very close to Chilpill, like 4 or 5 tenths, but he has dropped off a bit in that third and final sector. He's trailing by 7 tenths, heading onto the main straight. And talking about Chilpill and Aiden, Chilpill has just got his third and final warning before a penalty coming out of turn 14, trying to just bridge that extra gap to him and Aiden. And now Aiden is very close, but as you have said many times, Scotty, it is difficult to get a move coming through into turn 2. As Chilpill locks up, Aiden has a look, but he is not able to complete the move.
Yeah, we saw Ghost Rider spinning at turn 13. We saw Sean A making a move on Liquid Jake down at turn number 1. But yeah, you're most certainly right. But Chilpill also just struggling. I think he's struggling the most in terms of the old tyres. Uh, we know some drivers can actually really nail the driving style in terms of when they get a little bit of wear. As Farmer Sam, the first of our leading contenders, picking up a 3-second time penalty, and I think he's having to push as he has a big moment through turn 11. Probably very lucky that he didn't end up in the inside wall there, just with the way that car was behaving. So Farmer Sam, you can tell, is really starting to struggle to keep with the top 3. We've got Ghost
Well,
Rider
Ghost Rider,
having a
he
moment,
has had
still got his
a moment.
still got his end plate, so just a bit of a moment. Maybe he's just spinning off those curbs. I know the inside curb at the first part of the chicane can easily spin you around, so Ghost Rider unfortunately not
Oh, here
having
comes
a good
Tyler into
race.
turn 1. Tyler
Tyler,
is coming down to turn 2. It looks like he could be having a move, and they're going side by side through turn 2. Tyler has a moment. They'll continue the battle through turn 3, but Farmer Sam is able to pull ahead thanks to Tyler's moment coming through turn 2, just trying to stick it onto the inside to no prevail. But Farmer Sam has had another moment, and you have to wonder, could Tyler get a move coming to the chicane? But it does not look like it. He looked just there for a second, but no can do for Tyler. He'll have to wait to lap 11.
yeah, obviously Farmer Sam, once he sort of got that penalty and sort of once we kept focus on losing when he lost DRS, he's really struggled this last lap and a bit. So he's really struggling with the tyres now. Uh, what's he looking at? No, he's not sharing his data, the cheeky bugger, so I can't tell what his tyre wears on. But Yeah, Sam really struggling. I would not be surprised if we see the Alpine, one of the first cars into the pit lane to get onto the hard compounder tyres. The hards actually felt quite nice, actually, for a lot of the race until you got to
And
probably the
2K
last
Goat.
few laps. Aussie definitely coming in. But we'll keep an eye on Tyler. Goes for a move down the inside. That forces Farmer Sam, but Farmer Sam will have the outside line, have a bit of better traction. So unless Tyler can do a bit of a switch back to the inside, unfortunately cannot. Tries to get a better exit off the second part of turn 2 and then up the hill after turn 3. But again, we heard the lift last time when we came up the last lap, but Tyler unfortunately just not getting the move done. Has to think of another way to get past. And if anything happens between these two, Finn's in P6 obviously right there to capitalise.
We definitely are seeing this grid start to split up more. We have that 1, 2, 3 pack of Websy, McJamie, and Yusuf. Then you have that 4, 5, 6 pack of Sam, Tyler, and Finns. Then it's a bit more of a longer pack, 7 through 10. You have Liquid Shake and Apollo Pepsi in 11 and 12 doing their own thing. Then you have Verk to Vrevenox. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is a bit of a difficult name. And then everyone after P12 really is doing their own thing, except for Mr. Cool Cars, who definitely just got a warning coming through turn 4, is at this stage within DRS of Marcus Costa, both of them on 9 lap old hards after pitting on the first lap.
Oh, Tyler had he was a little bit further ahead, but again, Farmer Sam
Tyler's got
held
the
the
move.
outside line. But yeah, no, Farmer Sam unable to do it. That was a better move from Tyler. The Red Bull Mr. Cool Cars having a little bit of moment in the second sector, but he's got going straight away as well. So Tyler gets past Farmer Sam, and you can just see Farmer Sam through turn 4 especially, just sliding that car. So, as I said, he might be very close to following Aussie into the pit lane as Liquid Jake. So these penalties just starting to come in thick and fast. We've got 6 drivers with the 3-second time penalty. And remember, Marcus and Mr. Cool Cars did pick up a 10-second time penalty for a collision at the start, but I think they served it when they had to change their front wing. Aiden picks up a 3-second time penalty now, so make that 7 cars. But we're just keeping an eye on this battle for P4, 5, and 6. Farmer Sam just still hanging in there. Gap out front is about 4 tenths, but it's not anymore. Websy comes in. He's got to do the undercut. Very important to see where he comes out. And you'd imagine Dodge will have to have a really good in-lap. You'd assume that would follow him in, as you've got Finn's in as well. Finn's trying to do the undercut as well. So this is where the race will pick up just slightly in terms of strategy. And got to keep an eye on Websy. Where does he feed out? He feeds out a bit of clear track. He wants to be ahead of Verk. Gets the lunge down the inside. Does Verk give him room? He does. Verk still stays on track, but that was very important for Websy if he wants to keep the race lead. Once the lead drivers come in, all important now. He's got about 7 seconds to play. Try and warm up those hard compounder tyres, and we'll wait and see if Dodge can come into the pits and get the overcut done. Yusuf, he's dropping back by about a couple of tenths and really struggling. Tyler, he's had a moment.
If Tyler's had a moment,
He's lost all that ground. He
he
made the
will.
move on Farmer Sam, yet he's had a moment. Thankfully, he hasn't hit the wall or anything, but that's a whole bunch of positions that he's just lost.
I will
Oh,
just
Yusuf.
put out there that Aussie 2.
Sorry, not Yusuf, that was Sam. I thought Sam had a bit of a moment, but coming into the pit lane, so bit of lag, but everybody coming in. Aiden will stay out on track, but he's going to have Shawnee, and Shawnee will take the race lead on those hard compounder tyres, so we'll be staying out for a little bit longer. Aiden in P2. Where does Websy come out in terms of the Ferrari? And Websy gets the undercut and increases his gap. So what about
Aussie
Finn's?
2K Go, it's has just made a move on Sir Revenox, and so has Fincey followed him through. But Aussie 2K Go, who was in 10th before, has jumped up ahead in front of Finns, who was in that P4, 5, and 6 battle. So the undercut seems to have worked for Aussie 2K Go, but Finns will be looking to see where Farm Sam is, and he is behind him. So that undercut has definitely worked for Finns, and especially Aussie 2K Goat, who has jumped up into provisional fifth, I believe,
Yeah,
or
that's that.
provisional fourth, even because
Yeah, that was
Burks has
smart.
not pitted.
Yeah, that was smart from Aussie. So obviously he's got a couple extra laps as Apollo unfortunately has left the session. So we'll try and get him back straight away. Checkered flag should be able to do that because obviously he's out of the race, but unfortunately has to stay in the lobby. So check it if you can hear us. If you can get Apollo straight back in, that would be lovely. As
Finns
Yusuf,
very well could be on for a move. Ooh, Webster with the fastest lap. But I
yeah,
was about to say Finns very well could be on for a move on Aussie 2K Goat. He is just behind him, but 2K Goat is looking at Berg. Berg takes the very inside line and seems to be letting 2K Goat through. He'll force Finns to go around the
oh,
outside, and they have a little tap, but Berg has managed to keep it on the road. Uh, that probably requires some skill from the Haas driver as he sees the Mercedes and Williams disappear in front of him.
yeah, that was actually that was important for Vince to get that move done, but very very close to that half spinning as Vert picks up a 3 second time penalty. So he's cut I think he's gone off the outside of turn four. So fortunately, Vert picking up a penalty. Obviously, 14 lap on hards. He's yet to make a pit stop. So obviously trying to go long, but as you can see, he's sort of already lost that pit stop to the guys that have already stopped. So Vert just needs to
But
stay in there, score points. Apollo thankfully back in. Uh, but obviously Websy very close behind as we got Liquid Jake and Dodge. Dodge making a nice move down the inside of turn 13. So that's what new hards compared to old mediums. Mediums feel like absolute dog crap around here. And as both medium runners come into the pit lane. So we've got only three drivers left to make a pit stop. And it's the three hard runners
Webster.
at the start.
So Webster goes for the move onto Apollo Pepsi and makes it a McLaren 1-2, but Shawnate still does need to pit. But but you have to wonder how much will Apollo Pepsi hold up Mick Jamie. On those 15 lap old hards, it seems like the AI is still driving from him, just looking, and it's so difficult to make a move through sector 2. And this could be something very good for Lebsy. He'll be licking his lips, looking in his rearview mirrors right now, as Mick Jamie is nearly
Oh,
and Apollo are nearly 2 seconds behind.
nearly contact.
Websy already.
Yeah, sorry, nearly contact as well, but that as Apollo's left, and the AI is really going to defend the inside around here, as thankfully Jemmy does get around the outside of what would have been the AI Red Bull, but you just see how much time that's cost him, 2.3 seconds, and he was right on the rear bumper of Websy. Mr. Cool Cars picking up a 3 second time penalty in 17th. Remember, top 15 score points. So all important if we have a couple more DNFs. You never know what could happen at the end of the season as Yusuf now gets past Apollo's AI car. So we'll try and get Apollo back into the race.
This probably isn't the best for Apollo. He does have that track position, but remember, he still does need to make that compulsory pit stop where he'll most likely go into mediums, and I think he would rather that happen sooner than later, given that he is only one of three who has been on the hards since the start. Five, really, if you're including the kick of Marcus Foster and the Red Bull of Mr. Cool Cars, but they did, of course, have that lap one incident forcing their hand, getting them onto that white banded hard compound of tires, which I believe is the C3 around here. The softest range Pirelli have is what they use here at the Hungary ring. But we have Finns getting past Apollo Pepsi's AI as Apollo will be falling like a rock with his AI taking control.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him back in. Obviously, his name's not coming up, so it's not showing him up as online. So I'll keep checking at that. Yusuf getting a fastest lap. Currently in P4. He's net P3 at the moment, and he's only 1.3 behind Dodge. So he'll try and close that gap up. Aussie now up into into the top six. So he's net P5, I believe, but Shawnee obviously will be jumping onto, you'd imagine, the medium tyres to close this one. A little bit of a slide from Aussie off the exit of turn two, but he's going all good at the moment. So Farmer Sam down in P8, so he's lost a couple of positions with that, with staying out that extra lap. Currently in P8, but it's going to be the two teammates, and you'd imagine this should be an easy swap of positions between P1, P2, and Websy can easily get Shawnee. Actually, Websy might try and get DRS from his McLaren teammate, but a little
For
bit of a
Mr.
moment with the Red
Coulthard.
Bull. So I'm just going to stick on board with Websy as Farmer Sam gets past Apollo's AI car. And that's going to be an easy move, Marcus. 3 seconds. Goes to the inside.
Websy getting the slipstream, and he'll pull back onto the racing line, and Websy 007 has taken the lead. I believe he did win the opening race 4 inters at Silverstone, and he seems to be continuing that upwards trajectory with a lot of our full-time drivers missing. He will be loving all the points he is getting.
Alright, so Apollo hopefully can get that invite. Your name popped up as Farmer Sam and Aussie 2K going side by side through turn 2 and now 3. Farmer Sam getting the job done. So Aussie made the undercut work. Does Aussie let his teammate through? No, he doesn't. So we know. Oh, yes, he does now.
Oh, he
I think
did.
that's a smart move. KLX, the quicker driver on fresher rubber, so you definitely swap those positions around. And then now he can sort of try and hold up Tyler and Shield Peel. And
McJermy right on Shawnee right now. He's trying to
side
go
by
around the
side.
outside of turn 12. I reckon if I was McJermy, I'm trying to stay behind and get that DRS, but it seems like McJermy will make the move, just sliding Shawnee out of the way, and now he will be in the clutches of Yusuf Goat. Shawnee staying out another lap, which he'll reap the benefits of when he pits onto that medium compounded tyre. He'll be able to cut through the field like sliced butter.
Hang on, watching for the move in turn 1. This McLaren, I thought he would have had a bit of a lunge there, but decides better off it. Problem is, I don't think he's going to have anything to be able to cover off Yusuf. Yusuf would have saved his battery for a move potentially around the outside of turn 2. That will give him the inside of turn 3, and it's very hard after that if you're the car in front to lose a position up the hill at turn 4. So Yusuf gets the job done. So Shawnee held up the Ferrari and the RB just a little bit, but unfortunately not enough. So, or not longer, but Websy still got that 2.5 second lead, which could be crucial towards the end. Because as I said, it's just you just want to be outside DRS range. You never know when we'll possibly get a safety car. Shawnee, he definitely wants a safety car, but he'll be very quick at the end on the medium tyres. It's just whether or not he can actually get these moves done.
I am currently trying to invite Apollo Pets if you want to keep taking the reins of the comms, but Yusuf Goat will have the McJamie Dodgers DRS as Shawnee stays out yet another lap.
Berkeley got a 3-second time penalty, so clearly my invite's not working. So Apollo having a bit of a mare this afternoon, as we can see a lot of time penalties. We'll have a look at the penalties. Everybody having 3 seconds. That's got a penalty next to their name, except for Verk's got 6. Marcus has got 6. And you can see we've got a few drivers left to make their compulsory pit stops at the moment. But it's Websy. Oh, who's that? That's Farmer Sam and KLX. So KLX, very happy, very eager to get the overtake done on the Alpine to potentially chase down Finns, as you got Burke finally into the pit lane, so we'll be going 14 laps on those medium tyres. There'll be less fuel in the car, but even then, those mediums at the end on a few cars earlier on in the weekend weren't great. So we'll see how Burke can manage those tyres. We've got Liquid Jake, unfortunately, getting past Apollo.
Yusuf is out of DRS of McJamie. That could be detrimental to his race at this stage. I reckon he'll be trying to do anything he can this lap to try to get back into the DRS. Looks he'll want that DRS to help him get back up to McJamie and Websy. But Shawnee has finally decide to call time on those hard tyres, he'll box onto the mediums for a 13 lap stint to the end of this race.
It was KLX. I thought he might have had a bit of a sniff down the inside. Can't get it done. So KLX still in P6.
Just
So,
time was fine.
so Apollo, the only car left to make a pit stop. Problem is it's the AR car, unfortunately. As we'll keep an eye on that. I'll try and quickly send Apollo another invite very quickly.
Apparently, our PS invites aren't working, but what can you do but try? But KLX is currently right on Farmer Sam's diffuser, trailing by 2 tenths, coming through at turns 10 and 11. He'll be, or 9 and 10, sorry. He'll be coming through turn 11. He's dropped back a little bit because of the dirty air being emitted from the Alpine. But KLX could very well be in overtaking range for this DRS straight coming up if he can get a move on. He is 6 tenths behind, 7 tenths. He has fallen back a bit through the second and third sector. He was right on his diffuser coming through the chicane, but he has dropped all the way back to 8 tenths back, and it does not seem like KLX will be getting the move done. Or this lap at least.
Yeah, and that's where I found it. If a car in front's strong, especially in the final sector around turn 13 and 14, it's very hard, especially in the dirty air, to try and keep that sort of 3-4 tenth gap to potentially have a move. I really struggled with that last night. That those couple of corners were sort of a weaker areas in the dirty air, and just unless the car in front sort of had a bit of a tough time through those last couple of corners, you really struggled to sort of have any chance down the start finish straight unless sort of there was a big tyre offset. So KLX sort of stuck at the moment. Obviously, both drivers having penalties, so it won't really affect it too much. Vince was about 4.8 behind Yusuf, now back up to 5.6. So just
Still will get
struggling at the
through.
moment. Obviously, Yusuf carrying that penalty. Bins needs to be within 3 seconds to be able to jump onto the podium, and it'll be a good recovery drive from. I won't say recovery drive, but he started in P8, P7, P8, and had to work his way through some of the field. So he's got a bit clear air, but unfortunately he's just dropping a little bit of time. So I think Yusuf's safe. Problem is, for Websy, meanwhile, that Ferrari has closed that gap and it's now just under a second. So this fight for P1's not going to be over, and it's still got 11 laps left to go.
This top three battle, as you said, is going to get very spicy very soon. At this stage, it will only be Mick Jamie and Websy within DRS of each other, and I think it'll be very exciting to see how Mick Jamie plays this. As we know, it is quite hard to get the overtake done here in Hungary, but you have to be you have to be very close to the car ahead, roughly 4 or 5 tenths. Otherwise, you just have no chance of a move. But McJamie is gaining on Websy as we speak. But a thought could cross your mind: is Websy saving his tires or ERS for this upcoming straight to defend his position? McJamie will not get the move done this lap, but someone who very may well get the move done is KLX. He is only half a second behind Farmer Sam coming through turn 13. He'll pick up DRS at the DRS detection point, and he is 5 tenths back coming through the final corner. Reeling open is not using ERS at the moment, so it does not seem like he will get that move done.
Who might get the move done is Aiden on Jill Pill, and Aiden,
Oh no,
looked
that
like
was
a
a very
little bit of
big
contact that
moment.
forces the Sauber wide or towards the edge of the track, but might have been a little bit lag, but does Sauber go down the inside? No, he doesn't. So Aiden gets that P8. So good points for at least one of the Haas's in P8. Burke unfortunately just struggling down in P16. So Marcus holding the.
Aiden does have.
Sorry, I was just going
Sorry,
to say.
but I was going to say Aiden with 6 seconds penalties compared to Chilpill's 3, so he very well could drop all the way down to 10th at this stage.
As we see a move between Marcus and Verk for the final points paying position as Verk goes around the outside, and you can see Marcus on 23 lap old hard compounded tyres, so that's why he's struggling compared to the 4 lap old medium tyres. So Burke gets that final points paying position at the moment. Apollo, unfortunately, that AI car, he was looking good on that hard compounded tyre. He would have been around where Sean A is, trying to reel in the back into the top 10, but just unfortunate that that AI, that connection issue, and unfortunately just a couple of invites not quite working. So Apollo will probably lose another spot. So Apollo, unfortunately, will probably not finish inside the points either. So we'll go back up to the front of the field. 10 laps left to go. Websy has a half-second lead over Jeremy Yusuf in P3. That's your current podium position. Been slowly losing ground to Yusuf, so that can, I think, for Yusuf, unless he picks up another 3-second penalty, I think Finns is going to have to just settle for P4, unfortunately. And then Farmer Sam, Alex, Tyler, Aiden, Chilfield, and Sean A are your top 10. Sean A obviously on the precious medium tyres, so could close in on those hard runners towards the end.
Mick Jeremy is coming around the penultimate corner now. He is fairly close to Websy, but I've found a lot this race that it is easy to extend the gap through that final corner as Ghost Rider, it seems, had a moment at turn one, maybe trying to overtake Marcus Costa, but Mick Jeremy going for the move around the outside. Websy will hold the lead, it seems, out of turn one, but Mick Jeremy will have that extra helping of DRS and the inside line, but he did just get a bit too excited on the throttle, had a bit of a squirmy exit, and Websy will hold the lead for what seems like the rest of lap 27 unless he makes a mistake.
Yeah, that was probably the first real opportunity that we saw the Ferrari trying to have a go at our race leader. But obviously, that Ferrari holding its tyres a little bit better than the McLaren, and Websy's tyres maybe just starting to struggle a little bit. We saw this at the end of the first stint that Websy was sort of comfortably holding on, and then he was really starting to struggle. Not really starting to struggle, considering that it is quite easy to sort of hold the car behind, but he just didn't have the sort of safety gap that he needed. So, as I said, and Dodge can just use DRS. He can just sit back behind the rear wing of the McLaren, just save a bit of ARS and go on a little bit of an attack. Yep, 6/10 coming around the corner. So we'll see if Dodge goes again. He won't, too far back. But these two very close together, and Yusuf's in a great position that if anything happens between the top two, he's there to capitalise if these two fall off the road. And track limit warnings will be essential for these top two. Not sure how many warnings each of them have, but it could be very interesting if these guys are just running wide a couple of times. Looks like that was very close, but Dodge staying within track limits. So we've got 7-8 laps left to go. So it's hotting up just a little bit. As we've
I
got...
was going to say,
Sorry, go.
You go, sorry.
No,
I was going to say, okay, you go. This is...
That's all right. I'll go. I was just going to say, obviously, about the top three. Obviously, massive gap. No, except for the first lap incident, we've seen no chances of a safety car. So, it is going to sort of be a little bit of a mistake from Websy through the last sector. He's closer now, but you can just see the dirty air. Jimmy just not able to sort of carry the speed through the final corner, and he's just leaving himself just a little bit too much to do. So he might have to just surprise the McLaren to actually get a move done.
At the moment, Websy is on 2 warnings, but Mick Jeremy Dodge has kept a clean all race and has not picked up a single warning. The only incident on a race director involving a Ferrari is a GLX Cam's terminal damage on that unfortunate lap 1 incident coming out of turn 3, which the other Ferrari has just passed. He is staring at that rear wing of the McLaren as we have, I believe, Sir Vrevenox having a moment coming out of the penultimate corner, and it seems like Apollo's AI could get DRS, but just too slow, too far back, unfortunately, for Apollo. He's done nothing wrong, but his race has been ruined by the wonderful game developers of EA.
Yeah, really unfortunate for Apollo. he obviously penalty free at the moment. So obviously, if he was around Sean a lot of penalties around there. So Sean could really benefit as well with all the guys in the a lot of guys in the top 10, but. Having penalties, but Websy still holding that 6/10 gap, so comfortable. Should be down into turn number 1. Yusuf's lost DRS, so it is going to be a battle for 2. And I'm just wondering if Dodge just happily to sit behind the rear wing of the McLaren and just let Websy just carry the speed, just let him carry him through, and then potentially have a move towards the end, maybe the last lap or two, to obviously avoid potentially Websy trying to fight back, as we got Aiden coming down the inside of Tyler. So Tyler running a couple of laps longer on this stint, so maybe just starting to struggle on those hard compounded tyres. Aiden doing a good job up into P7, but again, Tyler will probably take that position back due to penalties. So maybe in Tyler's best interest, stick behind the Haas, let him carry him through with a couple of DRS, and potentially could catch Kalex and Farmer Sam, as well as Yusuf picks up another
Oh,
3-second
Yusuf
time
has six
penalty.
seconds.
That's
That could
six
open the door for
seconds.
Finns to
I,
get onto the podium.
yeah, yeah, I said about 5 laps ago that Finns obviously needs Yusuf to get another penalty, and that's 6.4. So if Finns has done a little bit of time management, Finns might be able to actually pinch his podium. And with Yusuf not having DRS, it is going to be a straight fight between the two. So definitely we'll watch that gap towards the end. I'll leave tyres on at the moment, but I'll switch to pins in a couple of laps. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting fight. 6.1 now, Finns and Yusuf. Oh, it'd be unfortunate if Yusuf loses the podium, but it'd be the drivers that obviously kept it within the track limit. So Finns just hovering about that moment. 4 tenths up front, Websy and Jamie. We got 4.5 laps left to go here in
Oh,
Hungary,
Webster went
and
off and Jamie's walking around the outside of turn 5, but he could be going for a switch back into the chicane. But Websy has successfully dodged that bullet. McShamey does have a bit more battery stored up, but that does not matter coming through Sector 2. It is so easy to just charge your battery up to 100% here, which it seems both of them have done to the agony or sweet sounds, I guess, to any engineers listening, but they are pretty much on their own. So it will come. Ooh, Mr. Cool Cars with 3 seconds, but McJamie just having a bit of a moment through turn 13. A move could have been on, but it was not happening this lap. And Yusuf may well have got DRS because of McJamie's moment, and he has. That will be not pleasing to the sound, or that will not be a pleasing sound to Finn's ears. I am in my own words here, but we continue on to the next lap with no changes in the lead as Mr. Cool Cars retires in the pit lane. He was a lap down, so that will not bring out a safety car nor affect anyone really.
yeah, and unfortunately he was quite a ways away from P15 in points as well. So obviously being so late in the race, he would have needed 3 cars to sort of DNF to have any chance of points. So unfortunately not Mr. Cool Cars' day, unfortunately. So obviously with that damage at the start of the race, obviously no full safety car to help him bring him back to the pack. He was sort of always struggling, same as Marcus as well. Obviously 29 laps on those hard compounded tyres. Apollo, I don't think has made a pit stop yet. So technically the AI car of Apollo has not stopped yet. So we'll keep an eye on that, because he may get disqualified by not changing a single set of by not changing his tyres. So we'll keep an eye on that at the moment. But if he's not in the car, I don't think he'll be scoring points anyway, because you sort of need to be, if you're AI for the majority of the race, I think we sort of get disqualify you anyway. So we'll keep an eye on that, because game might decide to disqualify himself. But 3 laps left to go. Websy, Dodge, Yusuf, your top 3, and it's 3 tenths of a second. And Websy seems to be the car that's just struggling a little bit, having a couple of moments at turn 4 last lap that had Dodge around the outside at turn 5, but it was sort of never going to be on to hold it around the outside there. But Websy may have picked up a warning from that incident last time, so it's going to be that one mistake. You make one mistake and that Ferrari's going to be right up the inside as we come through the middle sector. Gap between third and fourth is 6.2 seconds. Remembering Yusuf has a 6-second penalty. So 2 tenths covering third and fourth. Can Finns find himself unlikely on the podium after sort of being in no man's land? He's 7 seconds ahead of the next car behind, and they've got penalties as well. So sort of pretty much a time trial this last half race for Finns, but he may get rewarded for it if he keeps the pressure on. Half a second now between Websy and Dodge. 2 laps left to run. DRS, he has the slipstream. Does he go for the move now? He closes up, not close enough. And that Aston not close enough for Websy to get DRS. So these two will stay the same. The Aston hopefully gets out of the way. That'd be Ghost Rider. So he'll get the blue flags. So hopefully lets the guys through. And this will give dirty air to Websy. I'm right on board with the McLaren. Still not getting out of the way.
Just a reminder that Websy is on 2 warnings. One mistake from the McLaren driver will pretty much end this race, and Websy might have been held up a little bit by Ghost Rider coming out of the chicane, but he got out of the way, I reckon, as well as he could at that spot of the track, or at the track. And
Yeah.
Yusuf Go is still just flirting with DRS on Mick Jamie here. He's been in that 1.0 to 1.1 second behind gap for the whole race, and he's just been a bit slow getting on the throttle, and that will cost him DRS for these two zones.
He won't get DRS. Problem is, Dodge hasn't had the best last sector either. That's 6.5 tenths. That's not going to be enough to send the move down here. And it's just not enough. He's been closer on previous laps, so he should have burnt more batteries on those laps. But I think this is going to be Webbsy's win. If you can lead out of turn 2 and get a good exit out of here, that's pretty much going to be race done. With just under 4 kilometres left to go. So Websy ahead of Dodge. Yusuf in P3. It is less than a tenth of a second between Yusuf and Finns. So if Finns have got any extra warnings that he can use, he's got to use them now, as we've got Yusuf around. Yusuf's gone off. So that's your podium gone. So having a moment out of turn 4, that's so unlucky. He was obviously trying to push to keep out of that 6-second range from the car behind, but he's made the mistake, just like Finns did in the battle for the lead at Silverstone on the last lap, making a mistake when in that crucial moment. And Yusuf is not only going to drop out of P3, he's more than likely going to drop out of P4 and P5 as well, and Tyler may get a big beneficia. But yeah, as you're right, Websy coming around the corner.
Apollo disqualified.
So no use of tyres, but Websy will win the Tier 1 race here at Hungary, just a half a second ahead of Dodge. Finns will cross the line magnificently in P3. Yusuf having the mistake.
To P6.
Yusuf may fall down to P8. 6 seconds worth of penalties. Farmer Sam in P4, KLX
Aiden has
P5. Where does Tyler finish? Tyler finishes in P6. Yusuf in P7. Aiden P8. Chillpill in P9. That will drop down.
P9.
Shawnee, good result from P9 on the alt strategy. Liquid Jake in P11. Aussie in P12. He did a nice undercut, but unfortunately he had to make another stop onto the medium compounder tyres. So not quite having the pace. Not sure if he picked up damage anywhere, but having to make the second stop. But we'll still score a couple of points. We've got Sir Venox in P13. We'll score a couple of points for Alpine. And KLX, we know, has finished in P5. So that's obviously just a glitch because he's left the session, but that will be corrected with the results. So Verk, I think in 12th, or 13th, I should say. Marcus has a spin around the final corner, but because he's the last one on the lead lap, Ghost Rider was a lap down, so Marcus will come across the line and finish with 1 point for Sauber. Oh, unless he doesn't make it to the line. And he does. Yeah, that's just a glitch. That's just one of the glitch. So KLX will finish in...
P6 or 5.
It saves it on my data, so he'll be classified. It'll just sort of be it'll be reversed back when I do the results, so that should be good anyway. But Websy, he had a tough battle, but he held on. and picks up his second win of the season. And he's not finished off the podium so far in Tier 1 this season and will be continuing as your Tier 1 Championship leader. Interesting to see the constructors. I think both Williams and both McLaren scored points. I think McLaren's were the better scoring team, but I'm not quite sure if that's going to be McLaren in the lead. So we'll obviously double check that towards the start of next week. But having a look at your results, it's Websy, Dodge, and fantastic effort from Finns in P3. Farmer Sam, Tyler, Yusuf, Aiden, Shawnee, Sealfield, and Liquid Jake, your top 10. Aussie, Severinox, Verk, Marcus Costa. Kalex will end up in P5, so just move everybody else down. So Marcus is your final point scoring finisher. Ghost Rider a lap down, and then we had retirements from Mystical Cars, and then unfortunately Cam and Checkered Flag we lost all the way back on lap 1 due to an incident out of turn 3, and then Apollo Pepsi unfortunately lagged out of the session, couldn't get back, and then the AI still did decide to make a pit stop and got disqualified for incorrect tyre compound usage. So that's sort of the game it is. The game can't even make a pit stop for you. So really unfortunate. We'll head back to our filler screen and get the drivers in for a little bit of a chat. But yeah, that was a fantastic race. Obviously, Hungary a little bit slow, sort of heated up towards the end there. But yeah, fairly decent one there. Would you say, Ashton?
I mean, as JP said in the chat, Hungary is Monaco without the barriers. Pretty common moniker for the Hungaroring, but aside from that, it was a very good race. There was a lot of close battles, but here in Hungary, it's just hard to get the move off. So what can you do if you're McJamie? But great race from Websy. Yusuf unlucky with that spin in the final lap, giving Finns that podium. But apart from that, I don't have much more to say on that note, I guess.
Definitely a good one. We'll start with our third place getter. We got a couple of these drivers in here, so we'll start with the man that was in that battle for that final lap, trying to get that final step on the podium. Unfortunately for Yusuf, he made the mistake trying to push. Vince, you were the ones that kept it clean, no penalties, and you end up on the podium. Congratulations with your race this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Yeah, slow quali. I am a bit annoyed with my quali because I think I was sixth in the end, but that final lap I gained half a second, which could have put me on the front row, but a silly invalidation cost me that, which probably ruined my race. But I feel like I didn't have the pace on those front three. They were quicker than me until the last probably 10 laps or so where I started matching them. And yeah, Yusuf, once he got that 6-second penalty, I just felt a lot more motivated because I was quite bored for a while just by myself. But once he got that 6 second and I was at about 6.2, I stayed there for about 5 laps and I was thinking it's going to be close for this going on the last lap. And then he spun it just like I did at Silverstone. And yeah, it meant I didn't have to push any longer. So it made that a lot easier for me. But yeah, just bad quality and not the best start. Cost and a couple of mistakes early dropped me out of the train, and then yeah, I couldn't fight with those guys at the front. So well done to Websy and to MC Jamie, who was second. So yeah, didn't have the pace for them, but happy with P3 and keeping close to Websy at the top of the championship, which is important.
Yeah, because I was going to say, obviously, maximum points from you, especially the double round in Bahrain last week. And obviously, as you said, not quite the pace tonight. But again, you still capitalise getting P3 and only losing, I think, 6 points to Websy, who's obviously hasn't finished off the podium at all. Spa next week, obviously, completely different track to Hungary. How are you feeling about that one?
I have not touched it on this game yet, so it's probably something to do before the race next week.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting if you haven't touched it, but obviously you've been a fantastic competitor in the first couple of rounds, so looking forward to see how you go next week in Spa.
Thank you.
Ashton, do you want to have a chat to our P2? Thought he had a move at turn 5 in those last couple of laps, but unfortunately not quite able to get past Websy for that first position.
So, McDermott, do you want to talk us through that battle with Lebsy? It's unfortunately you could not get the win today, but would you mind talking us through it?
Yeah, I had a decent qualifying. I probably should have been P2. I made a big snap of oversteer in Sector 3, but I had a good launch and I was able to get into P2 and slow behind Websy. It was, I guess it was more like a DRS train in the first stint, and managed to catch back up to him after his undercut, which was nice, although the lapped cars did become, not lap cars, but the cars that stayed out did become a problem, slowing us down repeatedly, but eventually they did sort themselves out, and I was able to catch back up to Websy. I thought I had a run on him around like lap 25, but he's just a brick wall. I couldn't get around him. He had a really good sector 3, so all the time I gained in sector 2 and sector 1 was for nothing really. I was losing about 2/10 there, so I was never able to make a move. Yeah, like you said before, he did make a mistake in turn 4, I believe, and I knew he did have a second warning, so he was trying not to get his third, which would have meant that I would have won the race. So yeah, he was definitely slow on the exit. I tried to go around the outside, but that wouldn't work. So yeah, well played from him. He drove very well. I tried my best, but yeah, he was too quick for me today.
You mentioned warnings in that, talking us through that battle with Lebsy, but how did you go about getting no warnings? Because from what I saw on the race director, the only Ferrari-related incident was unfortunately your teammate crashing on lap 1.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's more like an EA having a bit of a skill issue there, because myself and Websy did go off a lot at the beginning of the race. We did make quite a lot of mistakes in the first 5 laps, mainly just because of how bad the mediums are. So we should have both gotten the penalty, to be fair. I did go off, but mainly if you go a bit wide for some reason, it just doesn't give you a warning. So it's really hard to really gauge if he would have gotten a penalty or not, but it's racing, I guess. But yeah, I kept it clean. I managed to get into a groove, so I didn't really feel like I was going to get any warnings throughout the race. So yeah.
Final question from me. How do you feel about Spa next week? You feeling confident? Feeling a bit nervous?
Um, I don't really like Spa too much, especially the curbs on this game. It's kind of like an automatic spin type of curb, so it's not really my style. But hopefully, I can do some practice in for next week, and hopefully I can get a podium and, well, ideally a win. So yeah, I'll bring it to Websy though next week.
Scotty, do you have any questions for Nick Jeremy or?
No, I think you've pretty much covered it all. Obviously, P4 last in the first round. Don't believe you raced last week, so
I didn't.
little bit behind sort of the 8 ball of sort of how Websy's gone. Obviously Spa next week, and then obviously going towards the end of the season. Obviously, you're right up there in terms of competitiveness. Do you feel that there is a bit of a comeback for yourself in those next few races, considering that we are at traditional circuits of Spa and Suzuka the week after?
Yeah, I do believe I can probably catch back up to the front, although I do think with other commitments going on later on in the season, I don't know if the title is possible, but I'll still try and get it though. So yeah.
Yeah, it'd be definitely fantastic to watch, and as I said, you provided us a great battle around a track that is notorious to pass, so big congratulations to you, and we look forward to seeing how you go next week in Spa.
Yeah, thank you.
Alright, and unfortunately Websy unable to join us, so Ashton, quick word on Websy's race. They sort of didn't quite get pole, but led into turn 1 and pretty much had to just defend a couple of laps, but overall he was sort of able to just pace himself.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what else he could have done better. Like, it was a pretty dominant race for him. Only McJamie was able to keep up with him. Yusuf.
Yeah, I think it was
the
very.
top two, but
Sorry, you cut out there a little bit.
oh no, I just stopped talking quickly. But
Oh,
as I said, I'm not sure what more Websy could have done. It was pretty much, in my opinion, a perfect race from him, strategy wise, like pace wise. He did make a few mistakes there, but that is just natural. Every driver makes mistakes except myself. I don't even get to the first corner to make any. So I think that's all I've got for tonight.
one more thing I will ask you, driver of the day. You sort of said Webbsy couldn't do anything wrong. Is he potentially your driver of the day?
I reckon so. I mean, Finn's, he got the in-game drive of the day, had a great drive from P8 up to P3, probably partially because of use of Goat's spin on the final lap, but you got to be in it to win it, I guess. So it's probably between Websy or Finn's for me. Mick Jamie could also probably be in there a bit, but obviously he just couldn't get that move done on Websy, and that probably just detracts a couple points from me.
Yeah, it's very, very tight, but I think Finn's had to make sort of moves. Well, as I said, between Webbsy and Finn's, you could sort of be between the two. I'm more than happy to give it to Finn's, just obviously because he made the overtakes done, and obviously he kept it out of track. He kept it within the white lines, had no track limits, so that forced Yusuf to obviously push and then make the mistake on that last lap. So I'm sort of more than happy to give it to Finn's as our round 3 driver of the day for tier 1. So as we quickly I'll get his sort of little graphic up here. But yeah, it
I
was
will just say quickly, touching on that incident on lap 1 where the Ferrari of GLX Cam and the Racing Bulls team principal of Checkered Flag DNF, it seemed like Checkered Flag just got a bit caught up on the exit of turn 3, went off at turn 2, then just tangled a bit with Sean A, DNF'd, and then like hit Marcus Costa, and then Marcus Costa spun into GLX Cam.
Yeah, it looked a little bit of a mess, unfortunately, down the back. So, as I said, really unfortunate for Cam and Checkered, because they were Checkered Flag. Obviously, DNF'd in quali, but it would have been interesting to see how he could have fought his way through, same as Cam. So, shame for those two. They were sort of our only two real retirements, as you can see on the screen there. Your top 3, Webbsy, Dodge or Meowsy, and then Finn's your top 3. Farmer Sam, great effort in the Alpine. KLX Tyler, Yusuf, Aiden, Sean A, and Chilpil, the top 10. And driver of the day, we've given it to Finn's for a fantastic effort, P7 to P3, and obviously keeping it penalty free to score that last step on the podium. So that will end us for another week here at Inters. A fantastic round at Hungary, obviously. Good battles from what we did see. We know how notorious Hungary is, but Spa, thankfully, is the complete opposite. Plenty of overtaking opportunities down the Kemmel Straight, down at the bus stop chicane, and especially the Source Turn 1. So, yeah, definitely overtaking opportunities, and also weather could potentially play a part as well. But obviously, we'll announce the weather forecast for each tier towards the end of the week. Ashton, thank you very much for popping in with me this afternoon, and obviously also your work on Friday night as well. Big thank you from us to have you in the comms box this week.
No problem. Well, hopefully JP is back next week. He was away this week because he got the call up to create a Series F1. I watched that over. Personally, I think he did a great job, and hopefully he can do an even better job if he's back next week for Inters at Spa.
Be good to have JP back on comms, but obviously big shout out to you as well, and shout out to all the comms team this week. So that will end us for another week. Catch us Friday night, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time for Tier 3 when they tackle Spa for round 4 here at Inters. So he's been Ashton, I've been Scotty, and we will catch you next week in Belgium.